On this episode, we'll be talking about how to build an effective Astra Militarum army without breaking the bank at the same time. 1,000 points or bust. The Astra Militarum, also known as the Imperial Guard, are the rank-and-file troopers of the Imperium. What they lack in martial strength, they make up for in numbers. And tanks. Lots of tanks. Expendable humans, irreplaceable machinery, and very little concern with attrition is the way of the Imperial Guard. Now, this particular video won't be covering tactics or recommending which faction to play, but we will be building a battalion list that will help you get used to the way the Imperial Guard work. Of course, you'll also need the Astra Militarum Codex and the Warhammer 40k rulebook to play the game, available at the link down below. So, as you might notice in front of me, we have a very eclectic pile of models here, and the reason for that is because we want to make sure that we get an effective battalion detachment first. So, to do this, first thing we're going to do is get Militarum Tempestus. Militarum Tempestus are the closest thing to Space Marines that a human can be, which sounds nuts, but believe me, it's true. So, the first thing we do with that one is that we build up 2 squads of Scions, eschewing the command element for now, because we don't need the command element, because we've already got our command elements. You build up the Commissar as a Lord Commissar, you build up the Lehman Russ as a tank commander here, and there's your lot. So I know that may sound really simplistic, but it'll give you an effective spread for how you want to do the special thing that the Imperial Guard do, which is issuing orders. So the Acadian shock troops that do come in this box also have the options that you can make a guy who looks like a sergeant who can also kind of flip between company commander or whatever, but for the sake of this list we're going tank commander, Lord Commissar, and then infantry squad with the last cannon, and then another infantry squad with whatever heavy weapons loadout you'd like. There's a little bit of wiggle room in here, you know, because that's how we do. You want to build up the Torox Prime with the missile launcher, because missile launchers are really effective. Hotshot lasguns or the autocannons are equally effective. So because we'll have the extra Commissar from one of these boxes, we just run him as a regular Commissar in case your rank and file troopers get a little bit antsy. And then we have not 1, but 2 more tanks, because if you're going to run guard, you may as well get some treads. I like tanks, guys. I think they're cool. Unfortunately, I don't have an Astra Militarum army of my own quite yet, but I may be taking my own advice here at some point and building all this up. Now, I've currently got them just kitted out as basic Lehman Russes, but because of the way that GW loves you when it comes to all these different battle tanks, you can put any sort of cannon you want on their fronts and their sponsons and their turrets, and you'll have an effective fighting force that will be able to tackle pretty much all comers. And that's basically what we want to do with these lists, is make all comers lists. So if your buddy happens to have been in the game longer than you have, well, you're not under the gun because he's got 10,000 tanks and can change his list up every time. And so you'll have that sort of tactical flexibility that will help you learn how to make the most of what you've got. The really nice thing about these really low points games is they're extremely straightforward. There's no real super wacky tricks that you have to pull off to really get the most out of your army. You just kind of plunk them down and say go. And once you're done kind of getting over those learning phases, then you can kind of wiggle your way through, well, maybe I want to go more tank heavy, or maybe I want to go more manpower heavy, or maybe there's this wacky trick that I saw online that might end up being unplayable jank in about 2 months, who's to say. But, you know, this will give you that solid core in which to build your collection. Tanks. I like tanks, guys. The guardsmen are a good screening force for anything. You can drop your scions in behind enemy lines and assassinate whatever character you want, or just kit them out to pop whatever. I usually kit them out with a hotshot volley gun and a plasma gun, because those are really alarmingly effective at taking care of pretty much anything you point them at. But, you know, your mileage may vary. Maybe you want to give them all grenade launchers or what have you. Their Torox will be great to go with the rest of the tanks. This is not a super, shall we say, elegant army, but it does hit like a ton of bricks with 3 Layman Rust tanks and infantry support. If your guardsmen don't survive too long, don't worry. You'll have reserves. This is by no means exhaustive, of course, but it should give you an idea of just what an Astra Militarum army should look like when you're starting out. And if you go to the Fantasy Games website and check out our 1000 points or bust subcategory, you'll find everything here. Once you've gotten your head around it, you can come on back for all your paints and supplements and data cards to really get your game on. And when you're ready for more Astra Militarum, there's still plenty more models to collect. How about a Baneblade, which is like one of these, except it's like 10 times bigger. Or, you know, you can always go for more guardsmen. Either way, whatever you decide, it'll all be here at Fantasy Games. Thanks for watching.